The moment I opened the door, my stomach tightened in a way I couldn't explain, because the woman standing there wasn't smiling with nervous excitement like most blind dates do. Her eyes were wide, glassy with fear, and her voice dropped so low it barely carried as she leaned closer and whispered that someone was following her. That single sentence changed the trajectory of my night, my sense of safety, and eventually, my understanding of what it means to show up for a stranger when the world feels dangerous and cold. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing when it matters most, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that small choices can change lives. My name is Nathan, and this happened in a small coastal city in Oregon, the kind of place where rain softens the sidewalks and streetlights blur into golden halos after sunset. I had agreed to the blind date reluctantly, pushed by my sister Rebecca, who insisted that hiding behind work and routines wasn't living. The woman, whose name was Hannah, had suggested meeting at my apartment first before walking to a nearby cafe. It felt unconventional, but harmless enough. Until the moment she stepped inside. As soon as I closed the door, the warmth of the apartment seemed to clash with the tension clinging to her. Hannah's hands trembled as she clutched her coat, and her eyes kept darting toward the peephole as if expecting it to blink back. She explained, still in that hushed urgency, that since leaving her car 2 blocks away, she'd felt footsteps behind her, steady and unhurried, stopping whenever she stopped. She didn't want to seem paranoid, but fear has a way of making itself undeniable. I felt unprepared, suddenly responsible for more than an awkward first impression. I told myself to stay calm, even as my heart picked up speed. I checked the door locks twice, then a third time, pretending it was routine. From the window, I scanned the street below, watching rain ripple across parked cars and empty sidewalks. There was no obvious threat, no looming silhouette, yet the sense of being watched lingered, thick and oppressive. Hannah stood behind me, her presence fragile and brave all at once, trusting a stranger with her safety because she had no better option. What struck me wasn't just her fear, but the exhaustion beneath it. She looked like someone who had learned to stay alert at all times, someone whose life had taught her that danger doesn't always announce itself loudly. As minutes passed, she began to explain more, not in a dramatic rush, but in careful pieces. Over the past few weeks, she'd noticed a man near her workplace, then near her apartment, then in places that were too coincidental to ignore. She hadn't reported it yet, afraid of being dismissed or told she was overreacting. Tonight, walking to meet me, something in her instincts had screamed that this was real. I wanted to be the kind of person who knew exactly what to do, but the truth was I felt helpless. Still, helplessness doesn't excuse inaction. I suggested we stay inside for a while, order food instead of going out, and if she wanted, I could walk her back to her car later or even drive her home. The relief on her face was subtle, but unmistakable. It was the look of someone realizing they didn't have to face fear alone, at least not tonight. As the evening stretched on, the tension ebbed and flowed like the tide. We talked cautiously at first, then more freely, about ordinary things, jobs, family, childhood memories, topics that grounded us in normalcy. Hannah worked as a speech therapist, dedicating her days to helping children find their voices. I was an architectural drafter, spending hours imagining spaces meant to shelter and protect people. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here we were, 2 people whose lives revolved around building safety in different ways, thrown together by a moment of shared vulnerability. Yet every so often, a sound from outside, a car door, footsteps echoing in the stairwell, would snap us back into alertness. Each time, my chest tightened, and I realized how little control we really have over the world beyond our walls. That awareness changed something in me. Fear stopped being an abstract concept and became a shared experience, a quiet bond forming between 2 near strangers. When it was finally time for Hannah to leave, the rain had slowed to a mist, the city breathing softly under streetlights. I insisted on walking her to her car, ignoring the small voice telling me to stay safe by staying inside. We moved together down the block, every step measured, senses sharpened. Halfway there, I noticed a figure standing under a tree, too still, too intent. My pulse roared in my ears. I didn't say anything, but I subtly shifted closer to Hannah, matching her pace, projecting a confidence I wasn't sure I felt. Nothing happened. The figure turned away, disappearing into the darkness as if dissolving into the night. Relief hit me like a wave, leaving my legs weak. Hannah unlocked her car, turned to me with eyes shining, not with fear now, but gratitude. She thanked me, not just for walking her, but for believing her. That word lingered long after she drove away. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake the experience. I replayed it in my mind, wondering what might have happened if she hadn't trusted her instincts, if I hadn't opened the door, if either of us had chosen convenience over compassion. Hannah texted me later to say she'd reported the situation to the police and that having someone support her that night gave her the courage to do it. Eventually, authorities identified a suspect connected to other reports in the area. The threat, while not erased, was no longer invisible. We continued seeing each other, slowly, intentionally. Our relationship didn't ignite with fireworks, it grew like a steady flame, fueled by honesty and mutual respect. Fear had introduced us, but trust kept us connected. Over time, laughter replaced tension, and shared experiences layered over that first night, transforming it from a moment of crisis into the foundation of something meaningful. What stayed with me most wasn't romance, though that blossomed in its own quiet way. It was the lesson that courage often looks like listening, that kindness doesn't require grand gestures, just presence. Opening a door, taking someone seriously, choosing to walk beside them, these acts can ripple outward in ways we may never fully see. If this story is touching something inside you, if it's reminding you of moments when you needed someone or when you were that someone for another person, I want you to pause and reflect on that feeling. Stories like this matter because they mirror real choices we face every day. Before we reach the end, I have a special request. Comment below with the word believe if you think kindness can still change lives, even in small, quiet moments. As I look back now, that night feels cinematic in hindsight, the rain, the shadows, the tension, but what made it powerful was its simplicity. Two people, strangers moments before, choosing empathy over fear. Hannah once told me later that the scariest part wasn't being followed, it was wondering if anyone would take her seriously. That truth broke my heart and reshaped my priorities. So if this story moved you, if it made you think about the doors you open and the people you let in, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and leave a heartfelt comment. Your engagement tells us these stories matter, and it helps spread a message the world desperately needs, that kindness, when offered at the right moment, can turn fear into faith, and strangers into something far more lasting.